that up. Perfect. Yeah, so like I mentioned, we'll talk a bit more about the implementation of the HNAP profile, the North American profile of the metadata 19115 in Canada, and how that worked. And Bilyana will further expand on that and go into more details on some of the implications that we have. So, Bilyana, if it's okay, I'll start off with the introduction. So we'll talk a bit more about the background in Canada and the Canadian context. And then Bilyana will take over and talk about implementation across platforms and how different variations were done within Canada and some of the implementations that were done in the EU as well. So we'll go from there. So a bit of background on metadata within Canada. So we utilized our NRCan worked with other federal departments to work on the North American profile of the metadata 19115. And that was baked into the FGB platform that we had, which is now being broadcasted on geo.ca. So that's a place where all of the departments come together and put their geospatial data up on, and it's available right now at geo.ca if you want to take a look. And that's all based on HNAP profile that was created back in 2014. So a lot of the departments worked with that, and they've kind of used that metadata profile to create a lot of their geospatial data and services that we've produced. And these, if you go on geo.ca, you'll see topics that include energy infrastructure, indigenous communities, marine species at risk, and other geospatial data sets, and they're all run on the HNAP profile that we have. A bit more on what the HNAP profile is. So we understand not everyone might be familiar with the North American profile. It is a part of 19115, a profile that was created in Canada with different departments in Canada, led by NRCan. Cindy Mitchell did a lot of work on that from NRCan as well. And within NRCan, for our standards of geospatial data, we do have federal departments are required to use 19115, the North American profile, and that's what has been used across all the federal departments. But there were some issues and implementation stuff that was done. So a bit more about the North American profile. It's the profile is more focused on the bilingual aspect and other areas that we felt that needed to be addressed and fit for Canada. So it was made to work best with bilingual metadata and other areas as well. So with that, maybe I'll pass it over to Bilyana to talk a bit more about the process on how that was done and some of the implementations that took place. Bilyana, over to you.
Thank you, Aliyan, for providing background and context. Hello, my name is Bilyana. I was an enterprise architect on Federal Geospatial Platform involved in the creation of HNAP. And the title of this presentation is same standard doesn't mean same results. Collaboration is the key to consistent outcomes. This is a short practical story from Canada about ISO 19115. Not about changing the standard, but really how adapting the standard through HNAP helped us through collaboration and joint implementation. Make a difference between fragmentation and interoperability. We're sharing this experience from the Federal Geospatial Platform with the hope that it resonates beyond Canada, especially in ISO contexts where adoption is strong, but results are uneven. So what happened through some of the background information that Cassandra provided, as well as Aliyan, we were mandated to use ISO 19115 North American profile by the Treasury Board, but departments didn't really know how to implement it. They all achieved compliance. They all implemented ISO 19115, but what happened is that they all had different, rightfully so, sort of different requirements, and they made their own implementations of it. So Department A, for example, was creating two files, so English and French, two separate files. Some departments were creating fully bilingual records, but maybe the structures were not, the same. And then other departments created English only to hope to translate later. So what happened really, it didn't really matter while we were within the same department, but when we came to sort of to meet the platform, sort of the common geospatial platform of 21 departments and agencies working together, all of a sudden we started getting, fewer French results. We were getting, issues with duplication, duplicate records, non-conformant flags, etc. And teams were surprised. They didn't realize, they didn't expect this. They expect just everything to work because they all followed the same standard. But the implementation itself have proven to be, an issue. So what happened, as we were working together, people started bringing their files, bringing their metadata XMLs, and departments that had separate files, they started complaining about issues that they were having with maintenance. They said, okay, managing two files is not as easy as managing a single file. They were complaining of sync errors, duplication, higher maintenance. And those with single bilingual file, they basically were holding one source of truth. Again, there were several similar implementations of the single bilingual file. So what changed is we started working together. Once we realized that everything was kind of, close, but not really there, we organized ourselves into a working group. And collaboration was key to, first of all, understanding the issues, but also to solving them. And over time, with sample metadata, architecture diagrams, people brought their XMLs, they brought their information, they brought their standard operating procedures, they brought their maintenance checklists. All of a sudden, sharing real implementations exposed better solutions. All of a sudden, everyone started gravitating to the single metadata file solution. So all these many approaches resulted in harmonization without enforcement. Nobody told them to change to a single metadata file, but they actually realized that having that single metadata file is best for them. It will, will not cause any issues in maintenance. It will be good for search and discovery. It will be good for sharing. So that shared understanding of one bilingual metadata record per data set really through collaboration led to the most elegant solution. So they just converged towards the same solution, again, without it being mandated. So before we harmonized, that's when we decided to harmonize and to create wikis and sort of help files, standard operating procedures to help these departments harmonize. We had inconsistent results, duplication, manual fixes, and the standards stayed the same, but the outcomes improved with HNAP through reliable bilingual search, interoperability, lower maintenance costs, etc. So the trade-offs became clear once people started seeing each other's implementations. So what made the difference is deliberate harmonization. Departments formed metadata practitioner working group. Real implementations were compared side by side. Without changing ISO, teams aligned on one bilingual record per data set, consistent language tagging, and resulted in harmonized HNAP. So for Canada, the summary is that ISO adoption succeeded and interoperability improved after harmonization. So the adoption was fine, for all the 21 departments, but then interoperability was not because they were all using different implementations of the same standard. Outcomes converged without enforcement. This lesson is not unique to Canada. In Europe, across 27 nations, 27 countries and 24 languages, you can imagine how difficult it is to do the same thing. In Europe as well, harmonization efforts have also improved as a result of implementations being aligned under Inspire. And similarly, in Canada, strong convergence once practitioners aligned implementations. So adoption delivers compliance, and compliance was fine, but then collaboration delivers consistency. So the lesson from Canada is that we cannot do this in isolation. Working together really uncovers the best possible solutions for us all. And what we have learned over time is that it's enough for people to see, they're all intelligent people, they see which of these methods will work best, and they'll adjust. So it's really, that was a beautiful part of this all. And really, so the lesson is simple. Standards alone do not guarantee consistency, and interpretation happens during implementation. So that's what made some issues for Canada. Collaboration is what turns shared standards into shared results. By working together and learning from each other's implementations, departments harmonized their use of ISO 19115 and converged on a simpler, more interoperable solution. So this is my geeky XML example to thank you for your attention, but to really remind us that interoperability lives in small decisions, where tags, language, and structure meet real-world constraints. Standards plus collaboration lead to consistent results. Thank you. Merci.
Very much, Bilyana. Okay, so are there any questions for Bilyana? There's one in the room, so I'll just pass the mic.
Thank you. I've seen before with standards that are not specific to TC 211. I'm from a sort of different domain. This recurring problem of inconsistent implementation, right? And when people are asked what went wrong, how could this have been prevented? They often bring up the idea of having more use cases, more examples, more implementation guidelines, and the standard itself, right? So as to sort of reduce the likelihood that this divergence will happen. As you were working with 19115, did you find places where you thought, oh, it would be good if there was some more guidance here about how to do this? So is there any sort of feedback that you can give back to that team?
Thank you for your question. Yes, definitely. We, standards itself provided guidance and sort of the roadmap towards compliance, but it did not really help us with the implementation. So we did look up to Inspire and other also the US platform for ideas and standard operating procedures, and they were shared with us and they did help. But it was really the collaboration that helped realize what was needed in our context, and also having the target platform that was there for search and discovery that also helped. So metadata was not just used to be compliant, it was crucial for search and discovery, the keywords themselves to find that data. We published to open government, open data, open maps as well. So making this data available to all. what we were missing, as you pointed out, is those standard operating procedures and guidelines. So this working group that we created, the HNAP working group, was actually, was filling in that gap and creating these documents for practitioners to use. So after we agreed to go with a single file and you know, specific language coding, etc., all that was documented and shared with the practitioners. But we didn't find it existing before. Maybe it does somewhere, but we felt like we were creating it from scratch.
Thank you very much, Bilyana. Are there any other comments or questions online? I see there's a comment from Liz. She likes the phrase interoperability lives in small decisions. Okay, so if there's no other comments online or in person, I think we'll move on. So now that we have a bit more background on the Canadian policy and Canadian background, thanks Cassandra and Bilyana. Peter Pulsifer from ISO TC211, who's leading the current development of metadata. So Peter, if you are able to hear us,